Hello everybody, Moisey with Millennium Duelist here, and today I'll be showing you guys my Prank Kids deck profile. I've been playing this deck since release, and honestly it's just one of my favorite decks of all time, so if I have an excuse to talk about it, I will. But let's not even waste any time and just go straight to the profile. So starting off, I run 3 Fansies, 3 Dropsies, 3 Lampsies, and 2 Roxies. This is pretty standard now from what I've seen, and personally I'm not too big of a fan of Roxy, so I cut it to 2 to make room for other stuff like hand traps. Battle Butler is one of your main power plays in this deck now, and it doesn't list Roxy's as a requirement, so cutting him isn't too big of a loss anyway. The good thing is that you only need to see 1 Prank Kid to pop off, since this build focuses more on normal summoning and progressing your combos through summoning the Link 1, rather than focus on fusion summoning to get your combo started like you used to. No more having to have 2 Prank Kids and Poly in hand to do something on your turn. But after that, I move it on to the hand traps, and I run 3 Gamma with the driver, obviously, 3 Ash, and 3 Ghost Spell. Honestly, you could cut the Ghost Spells for other hand traps like Droll or Nibiru. It's just that personally in my friend group, they play a lot of Grave Center decks, like Tristan with his Phantom Knights. The link for his deck profile will be in the description. But honestly, the hand trap lineup can be changed depending on what's strong either in the format or at your locals. So think of these more as open hand trap slots. Put in whatever you want or whatever you need to counter what you need to do. Or kind of do what you need to do, sorry. Moving on to the spells, we run 3 Prank Kids Place, 3 Prank Kids Pandemonium. I know I have one coming in the mail. I thought I had 3, turns out I don't. 2 Prank Kids Pranks, 2 Power Desires, and 1 of Instant Fusion, Monster Reborn, and Called by the Grave. So the field spell is really good. It lets you chain block because of the fact that when you link summon or you fusion summon, you can activate its effect. If you link summon, you can decrease your opponent's monster's attack by 500 permanently. If you fusion summon, you can increase your monster's attack by 500 permanently. This is really good for chain blocking and just for getting over big beaters, honestly. So it's too good of a card not to run. And it searches a Prank Kid on placement, just like Union Hanger. So it's super good. Running at 3, you don't really need to run Terraforming because Fansies can search it out. So there's not really a point. And you'll be making Fansies probably every turn. So really, you should be seeing that card. Prank Kids Pranks, I run it at 2. Card's really good. At the end of the turn, you can shuffle back 3 Prank Kids cards and draw a card. So you can draw into a hand trap, you can draw into further disruption. You just can draw into whatever you really need, more combo pieces, whatever. Also, if you get disrupted, you say you get hit with a Nibiru, and you have a dead Prank Kid spell or something in hand, a Pandemonium, and like another Prank Kid, you can actually discard a Prank Kids card to summon a token. So in that situation, you know, I can discard that useless Prank Kids spell, like say an extra place or something, summon a token, and then fusion off the token and the Prank Kid in hand. So the card's just too good to run, but I wouldn't run it at 3 just because you want to search it out. You don't really want to see it in hand too much, but just in case, you know, one gets popped, you have the extra one. Desires obviously is good in the deck. You run 3-ups of just about everything, and most of your combos are 1-card combos, so you don't have to worry about banishing your stuff too much, especially because Prank Kids Pranks will just recur your resources anyway. You know, banish 4 Prank Kids, that's cool. I still have like 6 other Prank Kids in deck that I can still bring out, send back, and then have ready for the next turn. The Instant Fusion and Monster Reborn, I kind of save those for turn savers, I like to call it. So basically, you know, if you get hit with Nibiru, you can Instant Fusion out, you know, like a Rocket Ride, and special summon 2 non-fusion monsters back from the graveyard. Or, you know, you Monster Reborn and special summon a Link monster that you needed. It's just a way for you to save your turn without having to worry too much about wasting more resources. And, you know, the one Called by the Grave is just to stop disruption, just in case. Because well-timed disruption, especially in Nibiru, will just end your turn or even end the game. So you just have to be careful about that. Then finally, moving on to the traps, I run 3 Imperm, 2 Solemn Judgment, and 1 Prank Kids Plan. So Imperm, personally, I think is really good right now, especially because people aren't running Virtual World nearly as much after the ban list. But you could cut these for like, Ice Dragon's Prison or another trap that you feel like is really good to play, either once again at your locals or whatever. It's an open slot, like I said. Solemn Judgment, I feel like Solemn Judgment is really good in this deck because if you see it, you get your full combos off and you have 1 or 2 hand traps and a judgment, you should be winning the next turn just because you should be able to OTK super easily. And Prank Kids Plan, honestly, I just really like that card, especially in the late game. Once you get to the late game, your opponent will try to beat over you. You have it engraved, you banish it, and send all your resources back to deck. All your Prank Kids monsters, all your Prank Kids extra deck monsters. The opponent's monster will lose 100 attack for it, and you'll have all your resources back, and you'll have, once again, 1 Prank Kid in hand. Cool. I can combo off next turn and go back. You can basically make turn 1 plays all over again. So it's really good. I enjoy this card a lot. You don't have to run it, but I personally like the card, so I run it at 1. Moving on to the extra deck, I run 2 Meow Meow Moo, 3 Dodo, 1 Roarin' Roaster, 1 Bow Wow Bark, and this is for the links of the Prank Kids monsters. Meow Meow Moo, is a link 1. It lets you use it as cost for the tribute cost of a Prank Kids monster. So for instance, if you have, say, Rocket Ride will tribute itself to special summon 2 monsters from the grave. Well, you could banish the Meow Meow Moo instead, and you don't have to worry about that, and you have 1 monster that summoned 2 monsters for no cost, basically. Dodo is so good. Dodo searches everything that's a spell or a trap for Prank Kids in your deck. He does it on summon. He can tribute himself to add 2 Prank Kids cards back to hand. There's no reason not to run this card at 3, honestly. Bow Wow Bark, he lets you tribute himself to add 2 cards back to hand during your opponent's turn, and they can't be destroyed by card effects on that turn. So just having him there to add those resources back and possibly make that Battle Butler on your opponent's turn is just super good. He also lets you get over big beaters because if a Prank Kid points to him, they'll gain 1,000 attack. But honestly, running it at more than 1 is just too ambitious in my opinion. If you make it once, you should be able to just recur it and keep making it. There's no reason to run it at more than 1. And Roarin' Roaster, honestly, you're probably not going to make this dude that much. I barely ever, but he's there if you want to Harpy's Feather Duster your opponent's board. And once again, if Meow Meow Moo's in the graveyard, then you can, tribute, but Meow Meow Moo will banish itself, so at stage you got a 3k beater that just blew up your opponent's backline for no reason. Basically, it can be a crazy combo. I would run this at 3, honestly, but I only have the 2 right now. But if you can run it at 3, I think it's totally worth it. After that, I have, the fusion monsters, 1 Weather Washer, 2 Rocket Ride, and 2 Battle Butler. Weather Washer, you're not really going to make as much anymore. The old play used to be, you end on Bow Wow with Weather Washer pointing to him so that you could summon your Dodo and Bow Wow back after you recur your resources with them and add your stuff back to hand, and then you could fusion and other stuff. But honestly, nowadays he's more for, at least in my opinion, he's more for summoning back monsters once you get to the later game and you're really running out of stuff. So you're not really going to make him too much, but he's there as an option, and options are always good to have. Rocket Ride, is really good. You'll be making him quite a bit, I feel like. So his effect is he can tribute himself and special summon 2 monsters, or Prank Kids monsters from the grave that are not fusion monsters. He can also chain block if you make him at the very beginning, because he has an effect that on summon, he can have his attack and then he can attack directly. So you could be like, Chainlink 3, Chainlink 2 Roxy's, Chainlink 2 Lampseys, or Chainlink 1 Lampseys. Like those chain blocks can always be super good, and being able to summon 2 monsters back for free is also crazy. Battle Butler is your main power play of the deck. This dude is crazy, especially now with the Link 1. So he's a 3k beater that can Raigeki your opponent's board during either player's turn, and if you have, say, Meow Meow Moo, banish it from the grave, you can Raigeki again, because the Raigeki effect is not once per turn, which is crazy. And even if it gets impermed or something when you before they make a monster, or if it gets imperm before their opponent summons anything, that's fine, honestly, because if it gets destroyed, cool, summon a extra deck monster from the graveyard for no cost whatsoever. They literally get punished for getting rid of it, which is insane. And then finally, the one Toad, because you can make it with Dropsies, 2 Dropsies, and then tribute itself, negate. All right, cool. Add the Dropsies back in hand. I have another combo for play for next turn. The card's just really good, and if you have other disruption besides the Toad, that's just more disruption. Your opponent shouldn't be able to play through it if they can. Like, that's kind of crazy, but I personally feel like if you're getting through all their resources along with Toad, you should be able to kill next turn. And then the 2 flex spots, for me personally, I run Nightmare Unicorn and Access Code Talker. I run Nightmare Unicorn just because I like, getting rid of stuff, especially if it's something I don't really feel like wasting more resources on. Back row, all right, cool, bounce it. Annoying monster, all right, cool, bounce it. And I run Access Code because I can just make the Unicorn and just have the other Prank Kid monster. Because ideally, you should have more Prank Kids monsters on field if you're climbing into Unicorn. So you can just make the Unicorn into an Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker now has at least 2 or 3 free banishes along with an extra 2200 to his attack. Like, I just personally think that combo is kind of crazy, and being able to just make them both during the same link climb is just super good in my opinion. But yeah, that's about it for my deck profile. Sorry I was rambling a bit, it's my first time doing something like this, but I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. Let us know in the comments below what you guys run, what you liked about the deck, what you didn't like about the deck. Just let us know. We like talking to you guys. So have a good day, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.